All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up our new final magazine cover document. Now, I mentioned to you that the dimensions that I gave you earlier were 190 by 270 millimeters for the cover. So 190 by 270. So that would mean that the height of our document, so in Illustrator, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here and set it 2 millimeters. And we know that no matter what, the height is just going to be 270, right? So I can put in 270 millimeters. But what we have to do and what we have to set the document up for is just like we did before. I have to figure that if it's 190 for the cover, 190 for the back cover, that is 190 to 280, right? No, 190 times 2 times 3, it was 380, right? So it would be 380 plus we have a spine of 6 millimeters. So that would be 386 would be the width. And I'm going to make it horizontal, obviously. I'm not worried about the bleed right now, but we can put in a bleed of 6 millimeters. Well, no, of 3. We'll put a bleed of 3 millimeters. So write that down. If you've taken notes, we'll make it a bleed of 3 millimeters. And this gives us one big document that has the front cover, spine, and back cover. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do is I am going to move this over here so you guys can see it. And I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to go ahead and set this up. Remember that if we hit Command R, we can show our rulers, or we can just go View, Show Rulers, View, Rulers. Right now it's showing, but we can, hide it. And what I'm going to do just to make it easier on myself, I'm going to have a layer. And I'm going to make that layer be, and this is going to be a little more complicated than we talked about the other day, but it's a good way to keep everything straight so you know where everything is. So one way to do it, and really, you're going to want to work at your comfort level, like whatever works for you. So I'm going to make layer 1. I'm going to call it I'm going to call layer 1 my boxes / guides. Okay, and I have my rectangle tool and I'm going to click down. And when I click down, it enables me to just key in the value. So I'm going to make my front cover, which is going to be 190 by 270. So 190 wide by 270 tall. And I can make it have, no fill, if I want to. So I'm going to click on this and say no fill. Come on. And really need to calibrate my Wacom tablet over here. So I'm going to move it over. And now I can eyeball it, but what I really want to do is I want to use my properties palette. I want to go to my transform, and I want to click and make sure that this, the top corner, so I can click on top corner right here, is literally at 386, right? Because that's where that top corner would be, 386. And then at the Y coordinate is going to be 0. Okay, and what that does is it tells me that it's slapped up there in the corner. That's exactly where it should be. So I'm going to go to my stroke. And right now it has 1 point stroke, and that's fine. But I want you to watch this measurement. Right here, it's at so this point up here is at 386 and 0. If I change the weight of the stroke significantly, like if I make it 1/4 of an inch, in this case, I'm going to zoom in really close so you can see. So this thing is still at 386 and 0. So it doesn't really matter. I like to keep the lines really thin. So what I'm going to do now is, since I know that's the right size, I'm gonna go ahead and take this, I'm gonna copy it, and I'm gonna paste it. Edit, copy, edit, paste. And now without dragging it and kind of like doing it by, you know, just guesstimations or whatever, I'm going to actually click on my transform, click on the top corner. This one should be now at 0, 0, right? So now it's at 0, 0, and that gives me my spine, which is 6 millimeters. So now I've got it. Now this is all set. So what I could do is I could take this layer and I could lock it right now, but that's not what I want to do. Because now what I want to do is I want to draw, and again, I could have done this with guidelines, but I'm doing it with the boxes. Yeah.
So you said the left rectangle to 0, 0.
Yes, for the top, like the top
Okay.
corner. Okay, so what I want to do now is I know that I want to have margins inside. So let's do a little bit of math, and I'm going to grab this. So if I know that my cover is 190 by 270, so that's the height, and this is the width. If I want to have a 10 millimeter margin, so I want to have a 10 millimeter margin on all sides. Okay, so that would mean I would need to subtract from this side. I need to take away 10 millimeters. So that's a 10, right? Ugh. And then from here, this would have to be 10. And from the bottom, this would have to be 10. And from the top, this would have to be 10. So what I'm trying to do right now is I need to make a box that is going to be that dimension. All right. So let's do the width first. I've got 10 inches on this side. I'm sorry, 10 millimeters on this side, 10 millimeters on this side. So 10 plus 10 is what? 20, right? So on the width, if I subtract 20 from 190, that will give me what? 170. And again, 10 millimeters from the top, 10 millimeters from the bottom. So if I subtract 20 from the height, that would give me 250. Okay. Now I did all of that. So I can do this. I'm going to get rid of all these little notes and numbers and dotted lines that I just did. Okay. So if I draw another rectangle and I make it 170 by 250 and drag it in here, and technically I know that I could grab my properties, and I know that if it was up in the corner, it would be at what, 386. It would be at 386, and it would be at 0, right? So if I come down 10 instead of 0, if I put it at 10 millimeters down, that's right. And instead of at 386, I subtract 10 from this side, right? I'm subtracting 10 from this side. That would be 376. And that means there's my margin for the cover, right? I could have also have grabbed these two boxes and just use my align command.
Wait,
Align.
sorry. What was Y?
If we had, I was doing it from the top corner. And so instead of 386, which it was for the big box, I just subtracted 10 and made it 376.
Okay.
And now that these are grouped together, I can put it back to 386 and 0. I know it's confusing, but when you go back and watch this video, it will make complete sense because you can stop and you can watch what I'm doing. So my point is, so now if I grab this box again, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this stuff, or at least group it and move it over here. So if I grab this box and paste it and move it here, well, let's just say I paste it right there. Using my transform tool, my transform palette rather, if I click on the upper left-hand corner, which should be here. So now I'm getting my readings from this point, the upper left-hand corner. And so now I need to tell it, just like before, if I do 0, 0, it's going to be slammed up in the corner just like the other one. So what I need to do is I need to add, instead of 0, 0, it needs to be at 10 and 10. And now it's in the right place. So that should make sense. And the reason why I'm doing all of this, and remember, here is the math. The reason why I'm doing all of this is so that I can take these and I can go object lock the selection. And I can also come here and I could say unlock, right? And I could always say on my layers, I can lock this layer. Because later on, the good thing is, unlike your guides, I mean, I can quickly just turn the visibility off on that whole layer. Like once I'm getting my stuff in. All right, so now I've got my magazine cover set up. It's ready to go. So let's see. I'll go ahead and pull this in here. So the masthead that I have created. Oops, it's telling me that that layer is locked. I need to make a new layer. So now when I put in my masthead, I can, put it up here like this. And now, as I'm going through, oh yeah, let me grab a picture. So now I'm going to put an image in for the back of this thing. So so I'm going to put this picture in. A second, let me do that one. So let me do this. File, duplicate, save. Okay, so I'm going to bring this in. It's a little big. So I'm going to scale it down. So I get it the size that I want it. Move it to the back. Bring this down over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and draw myself a box that is 190 or 190 by 270. And I'm going to take my picture. So now I have this box. Take my picture. I'm going to go edit, cut. And I'm going to select my box, which is right here. Now I'm going to go edit, paste. Wait, why isn't it do that? Oh no, that's right. I'm sorry. For a second there, I thought I was in. I'm sorry. I thought I was in InDesign. I'm in Illustrator. So I'm going to click on these two things. I'm going to go Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And so now I can come in here and I can double click on my picture and I can move it around until it's where I want it to be. I can even scale it. And I can move it right up here, move it to the back. And I really should use my properties here, make sure that my X value or my Y coordinate is at 0. So that's it's at the very top. And it's actually a little big. So I need to transform it to be 190. And technically, actually, what I'm going to do is I have a bleed. Remember we set up our bleed? That's what this line is. So if I'm going to have a picture that goes outside or off the page, I need to make sure I drag that picture to the bleed. So I'm going to grab the box and I'm going to bring it out to here. And I'm actually going to double click the picture, click on the box, and drag the box up to here. I don't want it to bleed onto the spine, but I do need it to bleed on those 3 sides. Okay, so now I can get back out of isolation mode, move this here. So I've got my cover. So this is my cover. And now I'm going to go ahead and lock that down because that's where I want it to be. So if I have type to do, I can set up a new layer and I can grab my text tool. And I'm just going to do one just to show you what I'm going to do, how my thinking is. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set my type, open up my text window. Let's see. Maybe I'm going to flip that around. Let me do this. You see how I'm kind of like thinking about how this is going to look, thinking about how it's going to, appear. So I'm adjusting the leading and all that good stuff. And I'm going to keep this. I'm going to copy and paste it. And I'm going to put this here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create outlines. It's going to be my main story, right? So it's related to this image. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to adjust the stroke. And then I'm going to do something like this. Copy and paste. Get rid of the stroke. And I'm going to turn it white for right now. And I'm going to take both of these and I'm going to align them. And I think it's too big, so I'm going to shrink it down. And so this is kind of what I've got. So, and then I'm going to go and put like a few more things, and then I'm also going to put the let's see if I have a UPC. Well, I'd have to find one, but basically, I'll put my universal price code there, maybe put the price of the magazine, et cetera, going through. And now, because we don't have advertising for the back cover, so you're going to make a cover, you're going to put all the information, the price, the UPC, your different articles, different stories, or whatever. And then for the back cover, what we're going to do is we're going to highlight something. So if you have like a picture or something like that, we'll, and I'll show you some examples. What I'm really concerned about is your final front cover and then the spine. So I'll walk you through that.